Vaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let me do one thing, that pinning thing. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much for joining us today. We wanted to recite the pastimes of Gundicha merchant today, and I'm just trying to do something, but anyway, I'm not working, but never mind. So I'd like to seek your good wishes, your blessings, and also seek the blessings of Jagnath, Baladev, and Subhadramani. So we're starting, oh yeah, go, yeah, good. With the verse, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Dvaita Chanda, Jai Gaura Bhattavinda.
परिचय काहे आमी सभा सेवक तुम्हारा ये तुम्हारा इच्छा से करता या हमारा. Upon hearing the Lord's request for them to watch the Gundicha temple, the Padicha, the superintendent of the temple, said, "My dear sir, we are all your servants. Whatever you desire is our duty to perform."
Yeah, so this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 1274. Gundicha temple is described. In fact, there's at least 1 or 2 chapters dedicated to the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Very important occasion.
So Lord Chaitanya actually went to the superintendent of Gundicha and requested to clean. He didn't just go in and start cleaning. So, you know, he just shows us that, you know, what we have to do. We have to respect who's in charge of the temple before really doing anything there.
So Char Dham, very interesting. Bharat is divided into 4 holy dhams. Their name is Char Dham. One of them is Jagannath. So let's talk about these. They're the abodes of the Lord. In the north, there's Badrinath Ashram, Badrikaksham. In the south, it's Rameshwar. In the west, there is Dwarka. And then in the east, there is Jagannath Puri.
Or Sri Kshetradam.
Sri Kshetradam. So how are these different from each other? Or where are they anyway in the first place? So Badrinath, then there's Rameshwar, Dwarka, and we got Jagannath Puri. So we're focusing in on Jagannath. But before we do that, various activities of Jagannath take place as follows. At Badrinath, he's in meditation. This represents Satyug. In Rameshwar, he's having a bath. Satyug. In Dwarka, he chills, he sleeps, takes rest, Dwapayug. And in Jagannath Puri, he enjoys eating. He's where he's engaged in eating. He's served boga many, many times a day in large quantities. This is Kali Yuga. So it's also his chilling out place, isn't it? And this in Orissa is where Bhubaneswar is. You have to go there. If you're flying in, and then go to Puri, which is here on the coast. And here is Jagannath temple. And this is Gundicha temple. This is the Rath Yatra that we will celebrate tomorrow. Starts from here and ends here. It's about a 3-kilometer journey. This is the Grand Road, and this is near the Jagannath temple. So this is around about here. And it's a very wide road, as you can see. And there's a very good reason for that, because of the Rathya, the carts. And we'll see that tomorrow. This is the other side, Gundicha.
The entrance.
This is Gundicha Mandir, the entrance of the Gundicha Mandir, where the carts will end up. Another section of it. Another section closer. So what is this Gundicha Mandir? It's the birthplace of Jagannath Swami. Because here on a special platform called the Mahavedi, the celestial carpet of Vishwakarma carved the divine wood, Daru, that manifested the deities of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra during the reign of King Indradumna. And this past time, I think we will go through it possibly tomorrow. How they manifested themselves in front of King Indradumna. So the Gundicha temple is the garden house of Lord Jagannath. This temple is named after King Indradumna's wife, Gundicha Maharani. This temple is located at the end of Grand Road, about 2 miles from Jagannath Temple. It stands in the middle of a beautiful garden with walls on all the sides. So it's a nice 2-mile walk. In this area, King Indradumna performed 1,000-year Ashwamedha Yajna. 1,000 Ashwamedha Yajnas. Wow. The temple has 4 constituents. There's the Viman, which is the tower housing the sanctum, the Jagmohan assembly hall, Natha Mandap, the festival hall, the Bhog Mandap, offering hall. There's a kitchen that's connected by a small passage. During the Rath Yatra, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, along with Sudarshan, leave Jagannath Mandir for 9 days. So 1 day is the traveling, sometimes it takes 2 days. Then there's 7 days spent in the Gundicha, and then 1 day to return to the Jagannath temple. This journey is known as Gundicha Yatra or Navadina Yatra, the 9 days journey. The Gundicha temple has no activity throughout the year except for the 9-day period when the Rath Yatra takes place, when Lord Jagannath is worshipped there. Otherwise, it's you just go and sightsee there, actually. The Gundicha temple is under the Jagannath Temple Administration, which is the governing body of the main Jagannath temple. A small team of servitors look after the upkeep of the Gundicha temple. Jagannath temple is regarded as Kurukshetra or Dwarka, and Gundicha temple is Vrindavan, which we will discuss more tomorrow in relation to Jagannath Rath Yatra. A day before Rath Yatra is Gundicha Marjana. Gundicha Marjana, which is cleansing of the Gundicha temple to welcome Jagannath Baladev. Because remember, for a year, nothing's really happened there. A whole lot of visitors come and have a look, and it's a messy place as a result. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started this tradition whereby he would himself cleanse the Gundicha temple, accompanied by several devotees. He used to do this to set an example and to instruct others. While cleaning the Gundicha temple, he used to shed tears, and at times he continually cleaned with those tears. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to gather all the straw, dust, grains, and deposit it in his cloth and throw it in a dumping ground well outside the temple premises. All the other devotees who were cleaning the temple would follow his example. Mahaprabhu, by doing this, instructed us on how to receive Krishna within our hearts. If we are desirous of seeing Krishna seated within our hearts, we should start by purifying our hearts completely. So this is a really nice painting. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in cleaning, and he engages all the other devotees. They've got loads of buckets of water, and they're cleaning like intensely. And this opportunity is there for everybody. The day before Rath Yatra. So today they would have cleaned very thoroughly the temple. We were very fortunate. Maybe 3-4 years ago, we were able to do this a couple of years in a row, which was amazing. And a nice picture. So there you go. Madhya Leela, chapter 12, text 73 to 121.
So actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started cleaning from the ceiling, because he said if you clean the bottom first and then ceiling, the bottom will get dirty again. So he started cleaning from the ceiling.
So Other than the 8 days between the first procession and the return Rath Yatra procession, the Gundicha temple remains empty. All sorts of dust, dirt is accumulated over the year due to open style of the temples. So in preparation for the Lord's arrival in the Gundicha temple, so this is all described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. To clean the Lord Chaitanya asked permission from the authorities for him and his devotees to clean the temple. The authorities are most respectful to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers and supplied all the required hundreds of pots and brooms. Mahaprabhu engaged hundreds of devotees in cleaning, and he personally took part himself. He swept straw, dust, grains of sand into one place, gathered it all in his cloth and threw it outside the temple. Following his example, all the devotees also gathered piles of dust and straw and sand and threw them outside. Thus, he and his associates removed all the debris that accumulated in the temple complex over the past year. Mahaprabhu would observe each devotee how well each was cleaning, and if somebody was cleaning well, he would praise them, and if somebody wasn't cleaning so well, he would correct them. Mahaprabhu also instructed the devotees by example. He collected so much debris from the temple that his pile was larger than all theirs put together. After, and they wouldn't speak during this time.
There was chanting.
They were chanting, or they would say by Hari Bol, Hari Bol. You know, if somebody wanted attention or to get something done, it'll be all singing, all related to the holy names of the Lord. No gossip, no chit chat. We go and cook in the temple, we have a nice gossip. But actually the mood was to serve. After throwing out all the debris, Mahaprabhu and his associates cleaned the temple a second time, looking for the finer grains of sand that they may have missed. So first they get rid of all the big stuff, and then they get rid of all the small stuff. Then they thoroughly washed the temple with hundreds of devotees throwing hundreds of pots of water. They cleansed the ceiling, the walls, the floor, and everything else. Mahaprabhu himself personally washed the seating place of the Lord Jagannath with his own 2 hands. Even then, Lord Chaitanya was concerned that dirt would come again into the temple, and so he had the devotees clean the area outside the temple, as well as throw water outside the temple. So no new dust would come in. In the course of the cleaning, Lord Chaitanya took off his own garment, the top piece of his sannyas dress, to clean the temple. Srila Prabhupada remarks that this shows how serious he was to clean. He even used his own cloth to mop the rooms and polish the Lord's throne. Really amazing. The temple was so clean and pure and cool and pleasing that it was just like the pure mind of Mahaprabhu himself. And the minds of the devotees were purified. This is the altar of Jagannath, and there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu using his own top piece, to clean it. So, what's the inner meaning? The outer meaning is cleaning the dirt from the temple. What's the inner meaning? There's always an inner meaning to everything that the Lord does. If a devotee wants to attain Krishna, then this is the process. This is the inner cleaning now. He must chant and hear the glories of the Lord, Sri Krishna. Srinavatam Swakatha Krishna, to cleanse the heart. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he's already seated there. He wants to continue living within the heart, and the Lord wants to give directions. But one has to keep the heart clean. The devotee therefore has to cleanse his heart, just as the Lord cleansed the Gundicha temple. Then one can be enriched in bhakti. If the heart is filled with straw, sands of grain, weeds, or dust, in other words, anya abhilas purna, one cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bilasita Sunyam Dhyana Karmadi Anavratam Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Ulterior motives are brought about with the desire for material upliftment through fruitive work, speculative knowledge, mystic yoga system, penances and austerities, so many other forms of so-called yoga and meditation. We're not interested in any of those because we cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our heart unless our hearts are cleansed. This process will not cleanse the heart. The seed of desire remains to enjoy in material life. The main process by which heart is cleansed, Cheto Darpanamarjanam, is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. The chanting should be done in a proper mood, in a mood to cleanse the heart and purify it of material desires. So what is a material desire? It's a desire for anything other than to serve and please Krishna. Any other desire should be thrown out. But to throw out these other desires, we require a method of doing that. And the process is chant and hear about Krishna. Although material desires are there, we should have the intention to remove them. In other words, it is not an offense to have material attachments. It's an offense to maintain them. So we will all have material desires, but if we keep pursuing them, even after understanding so many instructions about spiritual life, then it becomes offensive. That's the 10th offense, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments after understanding so many instructions on this matter. So if we're sincere in our intention, then the Lord within the heart will help us. He is Shuhata Satam, the well-wishing friend. We should not make a show of being a devotee in order to achieve some selfish purpose, to get money or followers or adoration or anything else. Mahaprabhu and his devotees worked hard. They did a lot of cleaning, a lot of sweeping out rocks, dust, dirt, sand, straw, etc. So when we first come to associate with devotees and hear their instructions and develop faith in the process of bhakti, we will have some bad habits. It's natural. There will be bad habits. What to do? Main sinful activities, the pillars of sinful life are eating meat, fish, eggs, taking intoxicants, engaging in illicit sex, and gambling. So these are the four rules that we have to abide by. These gross sinful activities must be given up as an important step to cleanse the heart. Lord Chaitanya, after that tremendous effort in cleansing the temple, the first time, cleansed it a second time. So the first time, it was to get rid of all the big stuff. So the big stuff is the four sinful activities, principal ones. Second time is to take out the finer dirt. So for the lesson for us is, by following the standards of practice of bhakti yoga, there may be subtle contaminations in our heart that we have to cleanse. These come through pride, attachment to gross sinful activities, more subtle bad habits such as pride, anger, greed, arrogance, name, fame. I'm doing this, I'm getting a lot of fame. Everybody thinks I'm a good man. As we progress in devotional service, we will find more and more subtle contaminations, such as adoration and fame. So we have to keep cleaning. As we progress through the 9 stages, Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anatha, Nivritti, Nishta, Shruchi, Akshakta, there are taints that remain all the way up to the stage of Bhava. And then we have Krishna Prema. The disturbance is much less after Anatha Nivritti. So Anatha Nivritti is where we get rid of our offensive behavior. But still, there's a little bit there. So we have to keep chanting and hearing. But we have to keep chanting and hearing anyway. That's the cure, even at the stage of bhav or prema. So we have to constantly be cleansing, cleaning, because until we are completely liberated, there is some contamination that we must purify. So this is really incredible instructions. What are these things that can obstruct our progress in spiritual life? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used the metaphor of the seed of devotional service, the Bhakti Lata Beach. So this is where it's summer, so we can start becoming gardeners, spiritual gardeners. So we've received the seed, planted the seed, we've watered the seed by hearing and chanting. What is the seed? The seed of Bhakti, Bhakti Lata Beach. Now we have to make sure no weeds grow aside the creeper of Bhakti. If weeds come, they will drink the water meant for the plant. The weeds may become so strong that they may actually choke the creeper of devotion. So we've seen this a few times. Very, very interesting diagram of Bhakti Lata Beach, which starts at the basic level and grows until it reaches full blossom of prema for the Lord and gives us access to the spiritual kingdom. So let's have a look at a little bit more detail. Beginning is Shraddha, faith. We have a little bit of faith that's been invested in spirituality. And that faith is what we have to water with the chanting of the holy names. So that seed of faith grows. And as it grows, different things will come in the way. There's 5 types of miseries: ignorance, false ego, attachment, hatred, absorption in worldly affairs. 4 types of sins, which are fructified sins, unfructified sins, the seeds of sin, and the desire seed of sin. And then on the positive side, there's kindness, mercy, forgiveness, truthfulness, simplicity, equality, patience, gravity, honoring others, not expecting respect, or good fortune. So these will grow side by side. This plant will grow nicely. The weeds will also grow. We have to be very good gardeners. Just now we planted we got a tulsi plant, and alongside the tulsi plant, there were loads of weeds as well. So Jayanti very carefully took out all the weeds and kept the plant going. So from Shraddha, we go to Sadhu Sang. Sadhu Sang is where we associate with devotees and we get the good qualities from the devotees, try to reduce the negative impact of non-devotees. And then slowly we'll gradually come up to Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya is where we get some attachment to enjoying not enjoying, but tasting a little bit of kirtan and bhajans. This enthusiasm that will come, and also there'll be the struggling with sense enjoyment at the same time. And then as we progress further, Natha Nivritan, this is where we look inside the heart and try to pick out those weeds which are growing. Those are the obstacles that will stop us from developing further in our Krishna consciousness. Ignorance, false ego, hatred, absorption in material objects, the desire for liberation. I want to get out of this world and become one with the Lord, or I want to get out of this world and be with the Lord. Well, that's not a bad thing necessarily to be with the Lord, but it's still the I is there. I want to do this. Well, what does the Lord want? That's what we need to try to connect to. Does the Lord want us to serve here or there? Wherever he wants us to serve, we'll serve. We know I is out of the picture. And so we try to chant offenselessly, so that we can move to the next stage. And the next stage, we have to clear drowsiness. We'll see this later on. When we chant and we fall asleep, or we become distracted, or we're not competent, or we contaminated consciousness, or we got a taste for material pleasures. We'll see those obstacles come. And we have to move past them by chanting with attention and with feeling. And then hopefully we'll come to the stage of Nishta, which is unshakable resolve. If we leave the home without the beads, we will feel completely naked. Have to have beads, have to chant, unshakable. If somebody says, look what this guy is bhakt, he's become a bhakt, doesn't matter, so what? If I become a bhakt, why don't you become a bhakt as well? We go and get distracted by others' opinions. Doesn't matter what others think. Let them think what they want. So, resting. So Nishta is a good place to be. And the Nishta then will give rise to Ruchi, which is the taste for bhajan. So if a moment goes or a few days, a day goes without chanting, then we feel completely lost and empty. In fact, there should not be a time when we're not chanting. That Ruchi, that taste, will ultimately give us this Ashakti, which is complete attachment to Krishna. Complete attachment. And that attachment, ultimately, it will lead to having bhava, which is transcendental emotions, which will, we have those emotions at the moment, but they're all contaminated with material association. But when it's purified in the in a spiritual sense, those emotions relate to the Supreme Lord. And then from bhav, the step to prema is not too far. From bhav, generally you won't come down below that. If one is in bhav, then one becomes the Lord's. And even if one falls back down again, because one has attained the stage of bhav, the Lord will ensure that we continue to the next level. And there is an example of that. Anybody know the example? Anybody remember the example of a devotee who was at this stage and he fell and Krishna protected him and he attained the highest stage? Anybody remember?
Prabhuji, is it Arjun?
Arjun? Arjun never fell.
King Bharata Prabhu, Nitai Gaura
Yes.
Hari.
Yes. Maharaj Bharat, he was at the stage where he left his kingdom, he gave it all up, he went to the forest and he attained this level, not too far from Pema. But then he stumbled upon a deer who was about to die, or baby deer. He rescued the baby deer and became attached to that baby deer, so much so he forgot his spiritual life. But Krishna, because he'd attained bhava, protected him in his next life. He became a deer, but he remembered his life as King Bharat, how he was so close. And as a deer, he went to the forest of the sage, the place of the sages. In his next life, he became Jad Bharat. And in that life, he resolved, I will not be diverted or deviated from my journey to the spiritual world. And he attained prema. So this was the mercy of the Lord. And prema is where we can set our vision and goal. And within that, there are, that's where real life begins. Real spiritual life begins. And it's extraordinary. So many different relationships with the Supreme Lord on a one-to-one basis. So this is the blossoming of the Bhakti Lata Bij. This comes from Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, where he explains all the different aspects, different process of attaining prema. Very, very interesting. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further instructed that you have to surround the creeper with a fence So no mad elephant can attain. What happens when a mad elephant attains a garden, enters a garden? He'll destroy it. So the weeds are the material desires in the heart. We have to remove the weeds so the creeper of devotion can flourish, ultimately attain shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord. And what is this mad elephant? It's offenses against the devotees, Vaishnava Parad, which will destroy everything. And it will hamper our spiritual progress. So this is the mad elephant. He can destroy even a beautiful garden. And the fence that we construct around the creeper to protect it is the circle of pure devotees, association of devotees. We have to stay within that circle of pure devotees. Moving away from that can be very dangerous. We find the same process in the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Not only did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleanse the temple twice, but he cleaned the yard outside the temple, so that no new dust would enter. So we must keep Maya as a bad association at a distance. Otherwise, even though we have received the Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of pure devotion, and planted it, watered it by hearing and chanting, there's still a chance that the weeds will come and grow and make the creeper weak. And in a weakened state, if we commit Vaishnava Parad through bad association, everything will be spoiled. So very careful we have to be. There are also different types of weeds. Very hard to know whether it's the weed or whether it's the actual plant itself. I was for days wondering, is this more tulsi coming, or is this a weed? Couldn't work it out. The weeds may look just like the creeper. We must recognize them by keeping them apart from the creeper. So these are the weeds. We have to keep them away from the main plant of Bhakti Lata Bij. We must be able to distinguish pure devotional service from mixed service and other processes altogether. So somebody may say Gyan is the best way, Gyan Yoga or Karma Yoga. Actually, we need to stick to Bhakti Yoga. Because we are conditioned and our consciousness is not completely cleansed, we may not be able to see things clearly. We may make mistakes. We may take a weed for the creeper. So we might make a mistake. The weed is unwanted. So similarly, we remove the anathas. Artha means desirable gain, and anartha means opposite, something that is undesirable. To remove the anarthas, we continue the process of chanting and hearing, process of cleaning the heart, cleansing the heart. And Lord Chaitanya compared this to the watering. This is where we water the plant with the chanting of the holy names. Just like Mahaprabhu showed his seriousness to clean the Gundicha by removing the top piece of his sannyas dress, we also have to show seriousness that we want to get rid of our anarthas. Then the Lord will assist us in overcoming our bad habits. So this seriousness. If we water the seed, it will sprout, become a creeper that will grow stronger and stronger, taller and taller, until it pierces the covering of the universe, penetrates the impersonal Brahman effulgence, and ultimately attains the shelter of the desire tree of the lotus feet of Krishna. Because every creeper needs shelter, and the shelter for the creeper of pure bhakti is lotus feet of Krishna in Golok. So here the plants, they will thrive because of the moon and the sun. So our moon and the sun is the lotus feet of Krishna, Golok Vrindavan. Thus, even while living in the material world, by one's devotion, one can be in the spiritual world through purified consciousness. That is a very advanced stage. But it is possible that even while living in the material world, one can reach the lotus feet of Krishna in Vrindavan. Even after attaining that exalted position, one continues the process of chanting. So we never give up this chanting and hearing. Even in Golok, Vrindavan, they chant and hear. One never stops. In Krishna consciousness, the means and the end are the same. It is not that we adopt the means of hearing and chanting to achieve some other end. And then when that goal is achieved, we stop. Even in Golok, Radharani is chanting the holy name of Krishna. Golokera Premadhana Harinam Sankirtan. The chanting of the holy name is from Golok Vrindavan itself, from the love of Radharani, delivered to us by Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radharani. So this is really powerful. This is our ultimate goal in life, to cleanse our hearts with the holy name, so our love for Krishna can resurface and soft butter feet of the Lord will dance and dance in our hearts, relishing in our prem for him. So this is our aim, try to allow the Lord to come, and he's there already, but we can't perceive him, and he's not necessarily dancing in our hearts. So on this day of Gundicha Merjan, we pray to Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna Balaram, Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Madhav, Gaurnitai, that Gundicha becomes our heart through chanting and serving the Lord and his devotees. Just like Gundicha Merjan, we are cleaning the courtyards in the same way, with the strict instruction by following Guru and Srila Prabhupada, with the broom of the holy name. So that's the broom. We're constantly cleaning our heart by chanting the holy name with love, humbleness, sincerity. And what is the water? The water we use is the association of the devotees of the Lord. We do this life after life until it becomes spotless and smooth with our pure love, so that the Lord can sit there. So, the cleansing of Gundicha is like cleansing of unwanted things, anarthas in our heart. So a little bit more detail. There are, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, 4 kinds of anarthas. There's the Swarup Brahma, illusion about spiritual identity. So, Jiva Swarupa Brahma, illusion about one's spiritual identity. Paratattva Brahma, illusion about the spiritual identity of the Lord. Some people may think that I am the Lord and I am in Maya at the moment, but I will be the Lord once I just get over this illusion. But then how did you get into the illusion if you're Lord? Sadhya Sadhana Tattva Brahma, illusion about sadhana bhakti, the means of spiritual perfection. Do I have to follow the rules and regulations of bhakti in order to become spiritually advanced? Maya Tattva Brahma, illusion about the Lord's external energy. Many people feel that this is an illusory energy. It is illusory energy, but it's not, it's temporary. It's not that Maya is illusion itself. Maya is there, but Maya, the material world, is temporary. It's not false, basically. It's not false. This world is real, but it's temporary. And then the second kind of anathas, asat trishna, thirst for that which is unreal, material enjoyment. So we are all in this place. Varieties of desires for material enjoyment. Desires for enjoyment in the higher planetary systems of Swargalok, and desire to get the 8 mystic powers, siddhis, or the desire to merge with the Lord. All of those fall into this category. Then number 3 is aparad, offenses against Krishna, his name, his form, the devotees, the jivas, who are all part and parcel of Krishna. And the final quarter, 4th bit, is the weakness of heart. Hridaya dullabha, dullabhya, balya. Tucha ashakti, attachment for useless things. Kuti nati, deceitful behavior. The word kuti nati may be broken down into constituent parts. Ku, bad or evil. Na or nati, that which is forbidden. In that case, it would mean wicked deeds or doing that which is forbidden. Matsarya, envy. So envy is a weakness of heart. Somebody's got something and we envious of them. Swapatista, lalasa, desire for one's own fame and prestige. So this is the one that ultimately can destroy us. even we take the bhakti path, but we do it to gain fame and name and fame. Dangerous. And then this we saw this a little bit earlier in the Bhakti Lata Beach. This is the final bits now. Laya, when we're chanting the holy names, we have a tendency to sleep. That's really dangerous. Shows that the message we're giving to the Lord is, you're boring, I'm bored. And the Lord is nothing but this. Vikshepa means distraction towards mundane topics while doing devotional service, gossiping while doing japa. Distraction again can really destroy our Bhakti Lata Beach. We've come to Krishna consciousness, but yet we're still attracted by the mundane. That would be a great shame. Apratipati refers to the occasional inability to absorb the mind in kirtan and other services in spite of the absence of laya and vikshepa, which is basically laziness. It's just laziness. Kashaya refers to innate tendency towards qualities as anger, greed, and pride. Rasasvada means the inability to observe the mind in kirtan and other services if one gets the opportunity for material sense enjoyment. So if we have a choice, we pick the material enjoyment. So Nishita Bhakti appears in the absence of these. So if we can somehow keep these at a far distance, we'll get this strong faith in Bhakti. And that's what's really needed in order to attain the Supreme Lord. So that's it. Gundicha Marjan ki jai. Anybody, any questions or any comments, please? Anil.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Oh, Hare Krishna. Sunil.
Hare Bo. May I?
Yes, of course.
You mentioned the tendency towards mundane topics. That's very common in
Yes.
in. So how to avoid? I mean,
How to avoid.
yeah, it's very strong,
Very
strongly.
strong.
In our heart. How to what to do to avoid that? Slowly.
Slowly, slowly. That's it. Slowly, slowly. It's prayer. It's chanting. When we pray and we know we have attachment to mundane, I mean, nobody's exempt from that because we live in the mundane world. Very difficult to detach ourselves. But we pray to the Lord. My dear Lord, I want to become attached to you. And by becoming attached to you, I know you will reduce my attachment for mundane subject matters. So this is the key. When we chant with attachment. We chant with feeling. That is the key that will unlock that particular door. Chanting with attachment for the Lord. It's not going to be easy to just switch off the television or switch off the, don't read the newspapers, etc., etc., etc. It's almost going to be a little bit false if we try to, without becoming attached to the Lord, we try to control our mundane attraction to material subject matters. So if we try that, it'll be artificial. It'll fail. We'll go back into the mundane with even more rigor. But if we take shelter of the Lord and pray to him and beg him, my Lord, I want attachment to you. Please, please increase my attachment to you. That automatically will destroy the attachment to the mundane. So it's not easy to stop, whatever, if we're into tennis, Wimbledon final comes and hey, you know what? That's where we are. That's where we want to be. So our mind is there, our vision is there, our body is there. You can't stop it because our attraction is there. But if we become attracted to the Lord and more attached to the Lord, that attraction to tennis will diminish over time. If we artificially try to switch off the television, our mind will be on the tennis. So how do you get rid of that? You can't. The mind will just keep focusing in on that. And ultimately, when the mind keeps focusing in on that, the body will follow it. The thought process will follow.
Thank you. Because if you walk on the street, you go somewhere, almost 99% of the people you met,
Yes.
you know, maybe you know him or her, they just come with a topic like COVID or or soccer. Today on the telly there is soccer.
Yeah.
Britain with this, like that.
Correct. Association is key. And we've got a lot of bad association around us, haven't we? But luckily, as devotees, we've got a lot for us as well. Prabhupada's given us so much, and we can really focus in on what Prabhupada's given us. Like these satsangs are very handy for me, I have to say, because we did a children's one this afternoon, and it was glorious because so many young children were there and they wanted to know more about the Gita. But that's very rare to find in this world. So, but you're absolutely right. 99.9%, I would say, they're materially focused. Very few will be wanting to understand, why are we in this world? Who are we? Who's God? What's my relationship with God? What to do? We surround ourselves with good association. We avoid, if you go on the street, don't listen to anybody, don't talk to anybody, just chant Maha Mantra. Pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, I want to associate with you and your devotees. Is that okay, Usanu?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranams to you.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving me a chance to talk to you. Few questions.
Yes.
One is about the topic that you were talking just now, like association, and like 99.9% people around us are talking about current issues and all those things. So like even if we are chanting and reciting the name of Krishna, is it a sin if we spend time in the current affairs, what is happening, and look into the news? And
no, it's not a sin. It's just a waste of time. But it's not a sin. It's not a sin, unless, of course, you're looking at undesirable things. But just keeping up with the news. Prabhupada used to read the paper. Our Guru Maharaj used to keep up with the news, and they used to base a lot of their preaching on the news, so that current affairs people can relate. So that's okay. It's acceptable. Only thing is, if we become so absorbed in the mundane news that we lose focus on the spirit. COVID, when it came out over a year ago, everybody was just looking at the news. And one of the first classes we had, and we were talking about how to remain strong, is I said to them, switch off the TV. Just switch it off. Don't listen to the news. You're listening to it too much. 10, 12 hours a day, you're just focusing in on COVID. Just switch the machine off. And some of them did, and they were really happy because they realized actually there is life beyond COVID.
Yeah. And Prabhuji, like my other question was to understand. You talked about material desires, and it's okay to have material desires, but to maintain them is wrong. So I'm trying to understand, like, how can we differentiate between having a material desire and how not to maintain them? Because once the desire is there, it's like a seed, and it's spreading. So how to get rid, like even having it, and how to get rid of that?
Well,
Thank you,
having it
Prabhuji.
is, yeah, no, it's a good question. Having it is natural because we're born with a material body in the material world. So material desires are gonna be there. And Krishna says that as well. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, he says, even the sages, they have many desires coming in them, but they're like an ocean. The river will flow into the ocean, but the ocean is still. So the sage will have material desires because this body is made of material things and the mind is completely focused on the material. So you can't but avoid having material desires. That's the point. It's not that we have material desires. It's good to have them. You just can't avoid it in this world. So we're going to have material desires. But if, like Krishna describes that we should try to become like the ocean. The material desires come, yes, they'll flow into the mind of the sage, but he's steady. He doesn't get impacted by them. They come and they go. He understands these are simply material desires, come to tempt me, but I am not going to maintain my attachment for these material desires. So that's the trick. And it is very difficult. It is very difficult to get rid of the attachments for material desires. The only way to do it, absolutely the only way to, well, there's two things that have to be there paralleled. Association of devotees, because devotees don't have material desires. They will talk about how can we serve the Lord more, right? So that'll take you away from engaging in material activities. But the second is prayer to the Lord. It has to be hand in hand. Association in prayer to the Lord, like we talked about before with Sunils. I want attachment for you. Let me serve you. That greed of seva. I want to serve you. Please engage me, please engage me, please engage me. That greed is required. Without it, unfortunately, we are sort of entrapped in this, you know, the need to fulfill our material desires. Hard to get away from it. Impossible to get away from it. On our own, impossible. But we have friends, the devotees and the Lord.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
That example of river and ocean, like it's wonderful to understand.
Yeah, no, Krishna gives it. I can't remember the verse, but he does give that. If somebody could just look at that verse up, it's a powerful verse. Krishna explains the mood of the devotee. Such a powerful word. Krishna is he's down to earth, right? He says, yes, you live in the material world. What do you expect? You're going to have desires, but be like the sage. Thank you for your question. Any more questions that I know? You always have amazing questions.
No, Prabhuji, thank you very much. Thank you.
And Sunil is another one who has amazing questions. Now, Surinder, good, you're there. I wanted you to recite. Yesterday, you recited something very nice.
Rupa Goswami.
Rupa Goswami's thing, yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat,
Krishna.
Prabhu and Mataji. Nitai Gaur Haribol. Dandavat to all the
Krishna.
Vaishnavas. Nitai Gauranga. Yes, Prabhu. Just 1 second.
So this verse is a really nice verse. It actually makes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu go into ecstasy when you remember it.
So there's I'll recite the Prem Dham Deva Stotram first, if you don't mind. Yes. Sri Rathagra Bhakta Gita Divya Nartana Bhutam Yatripatra Mitra Rudra Rajari Chamatkritam Gundicha Gamaditadva Rupaka Vyasancharam Premadhama Devam Evanomi Gaura Sundaram Premadhama Devam Evanomi Gaura Sundaram. So the translation is as follows. Surrounded by innumerable devotees, Lord Gaura Sundara displayed his divine and wonderful dancing figure in front of the Rath Yatra cart while performing congregational chanting of the Lord's holy names. The Lord's personality totally charmed the hearts of Prataparudra Maharaj. the assembled pilgrims, and all the other dear friends of the king. The Lord also revealed the inner purport of Lord Jagannatha's pastime of riding the cart to the Gundicha temple when he mentioned the verse by Srila Rupa Goswami Maharaj. Priya soyam Krishna sahachari kurukshetra militas tathaham saradhata didam ubhayo sangama sukham tathapi anta khelan madhura murali panchama juse manome kalindi pulina vipinaya sprihayati. Oh my dear friend, now I am at last reunited with my most beloved Krishna in Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani and he is the same Krishna. We are enjoying our meeting, but still I wish to return to the banks of the Kalindi, where I could hear the sweet melody of his flute sounding the fifth note beneath the trees of the Vrindavan forest. I offer my obeisances to that beautiful golden Lord, Gauranga Sundar, the divine form of Krishna Prema. So this was from Prem Dham Deva Stotram Prabhu. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Thank you so much. That was really good.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So, Gundicha Marjana ki jai. Let's pray for each other that we clean our hearts of the material contaminations and become attached to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Shri Jagannath. Jai. So,